Okay, in the previous two videos, I was talking about a coworker of mine and how he pissed me off today. His name is Brian. His Facebook is in the sub bar. You can talk to him, do whatever you want. Brian, he's a atheist. He's a solipsist. He's a egoist. You know, he doesn't believe in anything except the fact that he's always right about everything and everything else is wrong. So, if you could go, if you have the time, you should go tell him that he's wrong. Or if you're egoist, solipsist, atheist yourself, you should go do whatever. But I want to continue on this discussion because I have another problem. I have another statement about why philosophy stands in its own entity. I want to think about Immanuel Kant. A lot of you know who that is. He wrote the Critique of Pure Reason, which he had his own creation. He laid out all the parts of consciousness, and then there was neo-Kantians after himself and people after him like Reinhold, Schultz, Maimon, and Beck. I want to talk about J.S. Beck for a moment because he wrote the explanatory abstract. He wrote a thing in three volumes, and what he talked about is that he talked about the consciousness and the very foundation of why we see everything, that we should represent everything that we see to ourselves and then go furthermore through understanding through Kant's categories. Now, I think that this is good to talk about, and this is why philosophy stands on its own feet, because this is something purely different from science. This is primary. This is something that one would think about before thinking about science. This is why we see things, because in science we see things and then we want to know about them, so we do experiments through the scientific method and things like that, and then we come up with results. And the only reason we do science is because we have phenomena and representations, and then we try to figure out what those mean, and we figure out what the world is. And Beck and Kant, they talk about the consciousness, and which is a discussion of why we see phenomena and representations of the world. And this is because of consciousness, and Beck says that we have a original representing, which means we need to represent the world to ourselves, and that way we can go from there through original synthesis and recognition and understand everything through Kant's categories. And if you don't know what that is, you should read Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. Pretty good thing there. And I think that just discussion of consciousness, discussions of properties is something that scientists wouldn't do. Scientists won't, discuss the consciousness. They won't, there's no connections there's no real connections of a scientific experiment to discussions of the consciousness, discussions of philosophy of mind and metaphysics. There is connection because of logic. There's connection because of we want to understand the world. There's connections in that respect. But scientists wouldn't talk about the consciousness and metaphysical properties and tropes, and philosophers won't talk about genes and cells and neurons and cancer cells and how to cure cancer. They won't talk about that. But that's just another thing. I'm gonna keep going by saying I'm gonna talk about a couple things here. If you think about ethics is another reason why philosophy stands on its own feet, because ethics discusses what is morally wrong and what is right and what is wrong and what is the good and what should we do as opposed to doing other things. Science, science does not do that. That's why some parts of science need ethicists. There are medical ethicists who have a job because of the medical field. There are ethicists that do things because of other things, and science doesn't talk about what's morally wrong, and that's another thing. But the big reason why it is thought that philosophy by Brian that philosophy has a backseat and is only a byproduct and a supplement of philosophy and politics is because there's philosophy of science, natural science, and social science. There's philosophy of there's a lot of metaphysics has to do with science because it has been said by people like A.J. Ayer, that philosophy and kind of metaphysics, he hates, A.J. Ayer hated metaphysics and didn't say that anything about metaphysics except that it was a lie. But metaphysics and philosophy are supplements to science in a way because they can do things for science in some respect, even though people would disagree with that, especially Brian would. And and then there's social philosophy and political philosophy, which creates I would say that 50% of the wide expanses of philosophy are merged with either politics or science, and then the other half is the part of philosophy that scientists wouldn't touch because it, of obvious reasons, because we can't really know anything about it. All we can do is propose possibilities. So anyway, I might be blowing smoke here, but this is what I think. So, and if I'm wrong about anything, please tell me. But I'm pretty sure I'm right. So I'll probably make a video at some point later if I get more discussion about this, because I really have issues with what Brian continues to say. So until that video comes, I'll see you then.